Hello and welcome. So I'm Leah from Lakora Yoga, and today we are joined by Pooja, who's going to introduce herself now and let us know what it is that she does. So hi Pooja, just can you introduce yourself and let us know?
Hi Leah, thanks so much for having me with you today. So I'm Pooja and I'm a Reiki practitioner, level 2, and I'm also a pharmacist full time. And so I'm really excited to be here today. I can't wait.
Thank you. So Reiki then, can you do a little bit more information on that and just let us know what exactly it is? Because I've heard a little bit from it. So I know that it's some kind of energy healing, but that's pretty much as far as my knowledge on that goes.
Yeah, so Reiki, basically the word itself, Rei, means universal or spiritual. And the key is basically life force energy. So it's energy that we have in us, around us. It's literally right there all the time. And so as a practitioner, you're basically just balancing that energy and channeling it through our hands. We use our hands just to channel that life force energy through from us, either back to ourselves or to another person that you're working on, just to rebalance things like your chakras and make you feel more relaxed. And it has so many benefits, like mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. So yeah, that's basically the run through of Reiki.
Okay, cool. So I talk quite a bit in my yoga about the chakras and like moving energy around. So I guess when you're how does it work when you're stressed then? So if someone came to you and they were stressed, how could Reiki help them?
Sure. So I guess one of the main things I would do if they were having a Reiki session is try and find where that stress is lodged within our body. Sometimes it might be within the physical body, it might be your mental body, spiritual body, because we have 7 layers. And so the first thing would be just to sort of identify where it is, but honestly, it doesn't really matter. The way that Reiki works is the Reiki practitioner could have their hands in one position, but that energy will flow exactly where it needs to for that person on that day, and it might be different places. So yes, we move around the body, or if we're distance healing, the energy is obviously transcends, and so that energy will go where it needs to clear any blockages and just give you that overall feeling of relaxation as well.
Cool. So at the minute with COVID, I guess a lot of people are meeting up. So with, I guess when you do it in person, you don't touch them, do you? You just put your hands like over them.
That's right, yeah. So some practitioners, it depends. So I would always ask at the beginning of a Reiki session, would you prefer hands-on treatment, hands-off? But really, intuitively, you kind of, as a practitioner, you kind of go with what that patient or practitioner feels and what your client needs. And so it's definitely, you're fully clothed, you're lying on a massage table, just relaxed as if you were meditating or sleeping. You don't have to do or think about anything. And then yeah, it's just a hands-off treatment, and that energy just flows straight from your hands into the client.
Yeah. So how would that work? Because I've heard of people doing this over the phone as well. So how does it work long distance?
Yeah, so that's the amazing thing that I love about energy itself. So energy can go anywhere at any time, and there's no limit on time, on space. It doesn't have to be in person. We can feel each other's energies. It's kind of like when you think about somebody and then they ring you an hour later because they're like, oh, I was thinking about you. And that's basically energy. They felt that and you felt it too. And so it's the same concept with Reiki, that you can do it as long as you guys have some kind of connection, whether it's, some people do it with just the person's name as well. I've heard of some practitioners doing that, and that's absolutely fine. So over the phone, over Zoom like this, so you can see the person, as long as you can like see that person or hear their voice, you've got something energetically to connect with. As long as your practitioner can connect with you in some way, then you're good to go, and you can channel that energy, and it doesn't have to be with the hands or anything. And yeah, it works just as well, distance or in person.
Yeah. And with this then, is it the same kind of thing as like not comparing this to like therapy, but say you have a therapy session afterwards, you get like a release of emotions and you can feel overwhelmed and start crying, and can that happen with Reiki as well, I guess, with the moving of energy?
Sometimes, yeah. So people react very differently. So the main overall feeling that most people get is just that feeling and sensation of relaxation. And then over the next few days, because you really have shifted that energy, depending where it was lodged, how much of it shifted, and what you needed for that session, because it's a very gentle life force energy, Reiki, it doesn't affect people as drastically as some other therapy sessions might. But that is not to say that, yeah, you might feel like elated, you might feel joy, you might feel like crying, just that release of emotion that comes out of you so that you can really feel that clarity and clearing of the energies.
Yeah. So with stress, what do you think are the main like, do you get a lot of people coming to you with stress, and why do you think that is? Like, why do you think there are so many people so stressed at the minute?
Yes, my answer would be a big yes. I get a lot of people that are stressed, and whether that's as a pharmacist or as a Reiki practitioner. And I think the main reason that is the main conclusion from my perspective is we have so many stimuli in our lives today, whether that's from the TV, radio, social media, magazines, even just our friends and family. Sometimes we are constantly exposed to so many different things and people. And I also think that makes us, it can trigger us, and that can cause stress sometimes. And also it means that we might be in comparison mode, or we might be staying in the future, and that can cause stress when we think of what's going on in the future or what's going in the past, instead of just trying to stay present. And I think that's the key that I have come to the conclusion of.
Yeah, because so many people are just so busy constantly now, aren't they? They're just always doing something. So other than Reiki, like with your other job, like the pharmacy, what kind of things would you recommend for people with stress through? Obviously, I know they can go to Reiki and they can do some spiritual work, but what else could you recommend?
Yeah, I think in practical terms, I would say I would definitely counsel, like if I was from pharmacist perspective, I'm counseling them on staying present, even though we can think of it as a spiritual thing. It's definitely something that people need to think about with their mindset and how they approach situations. And through that, we can do practical things like yoga, like you're doing, and grounding ourselves into our body, into the present moment, using breath, pranayama, things like that. And from a practical perspective, having things like just tools that you can reach for, whether that's like a worry journal and having that at the side of your bed, or carrying that around in your purse and your handbag, and actually when that thought arises, you just whip the little journal out, write it down, and it's something to think about later on and not now, so you can get on with your day. Sometimes I have the notes app in my phone, and I will just type something in there really quickly that's stressing me out. And actually, when that thought goes from your mind onto paper or onto something else and you see it, it suddenly doesn't become as big as it was in our minds. Our minds like to create problems to keep ourselves busy. And so I think that is something that's personally worked really well for me, and I've seen it work really well for patients and clients too. Other practical things, I would say just using things like essential oils, lavender, to help you relax, and meditation. I would definitely say meditation, and I don't mean just sitting there and hoping that all the thoughts disappear for 10 minutes, because we're humans and that is never going to happen in reality. I love using the app Insight Timer. It's Right? I tell every single person about it, I think, that I come across. But it was life-changing for me. And that's really how I started my journey properly, and how I manage myself and my stress. Sometimes just using things like mantra meditation, so that actually you're keeping your mind occupied, but not on your stressful thoughts. And using things like yoga nidra to relax the muscles in your body and things like that. And I think that will help you with sleep, as well as managing your day throughout as well, and just coming back to like your breath during that moment of stress that might build up at work or at home or something like that.
Yes, yeah, totally agree. And yeah, I use Insight Timer all the time. And
Love it.
the yoga nidra for sleep, because so if anybody hasn't heard of that, you can download it for free, and they've got different sections and you can go into sleep meditations, and I use it every single night. And I'm always asleep by the time it finishes, and I struggled with sleep so bad. So that for me as well was partly stress with having a kid and being a whole busy mum. So what other advice could you give to somebody who is struggling to sleep? Because stress definitely plays a big part in sleep, doesn't it?
Hugely, hugely. And I think with sleep, it's sort of detaching yourself from the day. So there are, again, I use Insight Timer for this too, but I know there's meditations on there where you can sort of replay your day, and there's like energy cord cutting meditations and stuff where you sort of cut the cords with any situations that were negative, that stressed you out, and people, anything like that. And it's not that, oh, you're cutting the cord and like you don't like them anymore at all. It's that energy exchange, which can be really draining and stressful. And so doing things like that, protecting your energy, and always making sure that you take time out. I know as mums, it's stressful to take that time for yourself, but whether it's just waking up 5 minutes early and having 5 minutes alone at the end of the day, just can be so life-changing and just help you manage your day so much better. And I think if we manage our day throughout the day better as well, and have those little moments that when it comes to like time to go to sleep, then hopefully you know what it's like to actually switch straight onto that relaxation mode and fall asleep as well.
Yeah, and a lot of it has got to do with mindset, isn't it? And thinking about all this during the day. And like you said, I love that idea about the notebook as well and writing things down, because yeah, something that is stressing you out, when you think about it, if you think go like a week in the future, that thing's probably not going to be stressing you out anymore. It's just there in that moment. So yeah, having these little things that you can think about, which is hard, isn't it? It's hard to just switch your mindset around that, and it takes a lot of practice.
It is, and I think that's the key. It's the practice. And so maybe just, I think we've got to also remember to just be kind to ourselves and give ourselves validation that actually it's okay to feel stressed as well. Like we don't need to remove all stress from our lives. I don't think we'd be living a very interesting life if we didn't have a little bit of stress and excitement. But I think it's giving ourselves validation and compassion that it's okay to feel a little bit stressed, but knowing what your boundary is and what your limit is. And actually, if it's going above that, then do we need to check in with ourselves? Do we need to get a babysitter for an hour? And do we need to just take it back a second, journal it all out, talk to a friend, something, just to get it all out and reset again?
Yes. Yeah, I love that. And yeah, like you said as well, just maybe getting a babysitter or something for an hour and taking yourself away from the kids can be just that time where you don't have to think, because as a mum you're constantly 24/7 thinking about your child. But just having that time where you can just, yeah, it's switching off. It's switching off your mind, just focusing on something else completely. Yeah,
definitely. And I think coming back to like your hobbies, because obviously your children's hobbies are probably your hobbies now as well, because they have to be. And so coming back to actually, who were you before you became a mum? And are there any hobbies that you could fit into your day? that just make you feel good, and just raising your vibration in that way so that you don't slip into that lower emotion. I know I love Abraham Hicks and the emotional guidance scale, and just making sure you don't slip down into that negativity, but actually if you can stay neutral, that is more than enough.
Yeah. And taking note of your kids as well, looking at your kids and thinking, watching how they react to things and how they're dealing with things, because they don't have care in the wild.
No, absolutely. And I think remembering that they can feel you, they can feel if you're stressed, they can feel if you're sad, they can feel if you're happy. And so if I always say this to the moms at work as well, I'm like, if you don't do it for yourself, then just make sure you're looking after yourself for your kids.
Yes. Yeah. And I love that with the they can feel your energy, because that is so true. Like when I'm stressed, I do find Alexis is worse. And so does that relate with, like, I guess it's just all energy transference, but is that kind of related to the whole Reiki thing as well? Is that kind of what got you into all that?
Yeah, so I think with Reiki, it was that fact that I could play with energy a little bit. And when I was meditating and I hadn't even heard of Reiki before, I would feel like that tingling sensation in my body, and I would feel it in my hands. And I guess the more into the spiritual world that I got, I discovered Reiki, and I was like, oh, actually, like, you are right. You don't have to be a practitioner to be able to feel that life force energy. And so anyone can tap into that. And so definitely it was the fact that it's all to do with energy that got me excited about Reiki in the first place.
Yeah. And even if you're not like a spiritual person, I think it's still easy to see how that energy can transfer, especially like you said with your kids noticing how you react to things. Like if you're stressed, they're going to pick up on it. It's nice to know that you don't have to be all spiritual to understand this a little bit better.
Absolutely not. And I think just having that awareness now that we've spoken about it, and just seeing, actually, does that correlate? Just use it as an experiment maybe for the next couple of days, and see, actually, when I'm happy, how are my kids feeling and reacting? What are they doing? And actually, when I'm a bit stressed or I'm a bit sad, what do? They can feel it. They might not be able to articulate it just yet, but they might come to mum for a hug, and they don't know why, and you don't know why. But having that awareness and then doing something about it when you're ready, I think, is the key.
Yeah. Sorry if you can hear the loud motorbikes in the background. It's got so loud. Thank you so much. Is there anything else that you want to add to help anybody who's listening? I think we've pretty much gone over quite a bit.
Yeah, I think I've covered most things. Was there anything you wanted to ask or anything?
I think that's it. That was it, really. It was just helping these stressed mums that are listening to get a bit more relaxation and calm. And that's the good thing about these interviews as well, is it's helping people who, if they are a bit busy, maybe they've got their kids sleeping on them or something, and they can't do yoga right now, they can listen to these interviews and still get some kind of benefit from them. So have you got anything up and coming that you'd like to announce, or anything that you want our viewers to know about you? I will leave a description down below with all your links. If anybody's interested, you can check them out.
Yeah, sure. So, well, you can follow me on Instagram at Essence of Energy, which you'll link. And I'm now starting to offer not just in-person Reiki sessions, because I'm based in Leicester, but I'm going to start the distance healing sessions now as well, now that I've got some more free time this summer. So you can let me know if you watch this interview, and I can definitely give you a discount if you're interested in the Reiki. I've also got meditation sessions coming up too. And then in the future, I'm looking to expand, and I will be expanding into coaching as well. So if you're interested in that, then just drop me a DM. And if there's anything that you'd like to know more about energy, or anything on my page, or you want me to talk about anything else, then feel free to just connect with me on Instagram.
Yes, thank you so much. Yes, if you do have any questions, feel free to message. And yeah, I look forward to hopefully hearing more. I love everything that you're doing. So
thank
awesome.
you. It was such a pleasure.
Yeah, that's okay. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank
to stop
you.
the recording now.